cricket community will come for you.
Yeah, especially because, like, I mean, the conditions, I think about this a lot because I think about pet food a lot right now. And yeah, like the conditions that we put, like feeder fish or crickets or like any livestock that's meant to go to the animals we like more, like cats and dogs. I'm like, isn't this kind of messed up? Especially, like, we're putting so much effort into, like, lifting up these cats and dogs, making sure they're eating, you know, super organic, raw, freeze-dried, like, everything. But then, like, what's going on the other side, you know? Like, when I'm stocking shelves of, like, kneecaps from a cow, and you're just looking at this bone and being like, this is a kneecap. This is a tendon.
Uh-huh.
You know? So, how was your day?
Okay. I love how we were like, we have nothing to talk about today, and then it's gone here.
Yeah, there's always something.
Well, I mean, it's true that we revere things like dogs and cats, but it's because they're the most domesticated. And it's really just like another form of slavery. I mean, I don't want to bring it there, but we like...
I'm so happy you brought it there.
Like, we want to own these things. And we, of course, basically cater to them. But they're still ours. We still raise hell when they get out of our gates or whatever, you know? Like, we want to own things. And they're cute and cuddly and furry and... You know, and like babies also are made to be like with the big eyes, and you're like meant to sort of be sympathetic to them. If they look like a demon creature, I mean, would we care that much? Probably not.
I mean, yes, I'm with you, and also I've been thinking about this a lot as well because I've adopted a cat. She's an older cat. She's a preteen or maybe 13. I don't know how old she is, honestly. 12 or 13.
She's 12 or 13 in cat years?
No, in human years.
So how old is she in cat years?
I don't know.
Like 1.5 or some bullshit?
No, she's old. I think she'd probably be like about late 60s, early 70s-year-old person. Just going off of her attitude and her voice.
Yeah.
She acts like an old white lady who gets really mad at me when I'm telling her, I'm sorry, you can't come into the store because we already have someone in the store and we're doing these rules to protect you right now.
So you have a Karen. You've adopted a Karen cat.
Yeah, she's a geriatric Karen. And, you know, she's right now still in the bathroom. I've kept her there. It's almost been 2 weeks since I've had her. They recommend that you set up like a safe space for cats who are transitioning homes and especially transitioning owners. Like, that's a big deal. She was really freaked out the first day. And anyway, she's still in the bathroom because I was thinking like, well, she has to be okay with like, she has to not be hiding from me, and she has to kind of be okay with me touching her. Those are like what I consider the requirements for her leaving the bathroom and getting to experience my full apartment.
Yeah.
Because what I'm imagining, right,
treat.
She's just gonna, yeah, I know, like, sorry about the mess.
She's gonna go out and be like, what the fuck is all of this?
Yeah. But if she's just like hiding under my bed the whole time and I can't touch her and she's just still hissing at me, like, that's gonna be a problem.
It's amazing what they can fit into. Like, my cats, you know, we feed them kind of whenever they want. It's not good. Like, anytime they look at us, they're like, meow, we're like, okay, here's some food. And so they have these like big bellies, and it's amazing what they'll squeeze into, like tiny little boxes, tiny little shelving. Like, I'm just like, how do you stretch into that? And they'll like get really long and just limbo their way into whatever the fuck they want to. And it's crazy. They're little shapeshifters. Not unlike Ashley.
And for those of you who didn't understand that joke,
you should.
Maybe you guys, need to start fucking watching the challenge, because we're on the 3rd episode here and things are getting kind of crazy. And this is season 35, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Total madness. Episode 3.
Yes.
A hard Jay's night.
Beautiful. Beautiful play on words there.
Yeah, I mean, so I should have known from the title that Jay was going to be important in this episode. Mm-hmm. But I did not recognize how important he was going to be, which made me, a Jay stan, like, pretty pleased by this episode.
Yes. And sometimes it's a little scary when they focus on a character because you think maybe they're just giving them some camera time before they leave, like Jen, for example.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But we've long since figured that out, so now you just never know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was very Jay-focused.
Yeah, and they started this episode basically rehashing, like, this rule change about this season, which is that if you're on the tribunal and you're of the gender that is going up for elimination that week, if that's how the elimination is going to go, then you can vote yourself in there if the tribunal agrees, right? Yes. And so, like, that's where the episode started, was basically, like, talking about recapping that from last week when Dee fucking refused to go in because she's so dumb. But, so this ends up, like, coming into play in a major way in this episode. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they basically are just trying to talk about all of the different scenarios. What if there's 2 guys in this one and there's a guy in elimination? Does the girl decide? What if you do a strategy where you pick 2 girls to be in the tribunal with you? Because they're still learning the rules as they go. They never know with the tribunal, are all 3 people going to be people who won, or is 1 or 2 of them chosen by the winner? So there's all kinds of scenarios, and a lot of the vets are just trying to figure it out. Like, right, like plan.
Bananas. Yeah, I think Bananas says it best, though, in that, like, whatever the scenario is, it means the most now to be in tribunal.
Yeah.
And so it puts the weight on that part of the game, like, way more than any other.
Yeah, for sure, because if you go in there and it doesn't look like it's going to be your game, you can be like, I'm going to choose any of these other people who are up. Mm-hmm. So you just have all the control. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and then another thing, the biggest part about the first part of the challenge is again with Johnny. And he's going around talking about how much he does not like Ashley. Mm-hmm. And it's fair, because Ashley, he's basically calling her a shapeshifter, because she doesn't subscribe to one alliance. She kind of can meander her way through different ones, because she's a good time. She's funny. She's loud. She says off the wall stuff. So it's easy to like her. Like, I even have been unable to not like her, even though I've tried very hard, because she's funny. So, and she also has a tendency to win a lot of challenges that she's on. She has a very good record. She's won the most amount of money to date, which that title used to belong to Bananas. So that's probably fueling some of it.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm sure that they've been on a lot of seasons together, so, like, that's one reason why he might be thinking something like this, but also that, Johnny sees her as, like, legit competition.
Yeah.
You know?
And it frustrates him because a lot of people don't... He thinks that a lot of people don't see it. So he's trying to put her on blast, essentially, is what his goal is. Which I don't necessarily think that people care that much, because it's not necessarily that people are stupid. They know that Ashley wins a lot, and they know that she is in alliances a lot. I just think he's the one that cares a lot about it. And when you...
I mean...
Go ahead.
Well, so, I mean, I was going to ask you, like, what do you think is true? Like, what do you think of Ashley? Do you think she's fake? Or, and then separately, do you think that she was genuinely upset at this moment in the episode where she's, like, got that, like, crying voice and she's, like, you know, when, yeah, that moment when, like, Johnny's just, like, walking the fuck in between her conversation with Jenny, right? Mm-hmm. And being, like, a total dick.
Yeah.
And that's, like, you know, in the scene before this, Johnny was talking to Tori, and maybe, like, Ashley was overhearing him shit-talking her.
Yeah.
But then in this, Johnny's, like, fucking forcing a confrontation. Mm-hmm. And, like, Ashley's, like, legitimately, at least to me, she looked like she was actually upset that people thought that she was fake or that Johnny was trying to make people think that she is.
Yeah. So,
but I don't know. That's, like, me not knowing either of them at all. Like, what do you think?
I don't... well, there's several layers to Ashley. Mm-hmm. And this might be her most important layer. She's fucking crazy. She has the tendency to go off. She has, like, 2 or 3 meltdowns this episode. That's very common for her. She can go from 0 to crazy. And I mean, let's not... you know, claim that she has a disorder. I'm just using crazy to describe the fact that she will go off, and I think she is more sensitive than people give her credit for.
Yeah.
And she'll run rampant and scream and cry. She's a spoiled brat. She comes from a family that spoils her, and, like, she has meltdowns. I think she purposefully, when hearing bananas, decided that she was going to use it to her advantage. I didn't believe that conversation she had with Jenny. I didn't believe that was at least 100% real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, totally.
And Johnny, when he confronts people, Johnny has nothing to lose. Johnny has been in 16 or 17 seasons. Everyone knows his game. Everyone knows that you kind of have to get him out or else he'll win. He has nothing to lose by confronting people. Johnny's an asshole. Everybody knows that. Either you like him or you do not. So he has nothing to lose by forcing these things. All he can do is gain maybe opening someone's eyes to it. And even Jenny at the end of that conversation said, I love her, but I don't trust her.
Yeah. Right.
And so I think Ashley had some truth. Just because people like me doesn't mean that I'm, like, a shapeshifter. But I don't think... I also don't think that's an insult. The fact that she can get into different alliances isn't an insult.
Like, she would be so upset by this kind of, like, characterization. Like, that's probably her putting on an act. And I totally thought that... Or I could believe that now, especially because, like, in her interview, like, right before the challenge starts, Ashley puts on this attitude of, like, super confidence. And she's saying something like... It's just because everyone hates Johnny, so he wants everyone to hate me too.
Yeah.
It's like, and she felt, like, so self-assured in that moment during that interview that I was kind of like, she is not upset by this. And if anything, like, she is kind of maybe using this hurt, like, affect to make people think that she's weaker than she is or something. Like, and less cunning.
Yeah, victimizing herself for sure.
Right.
Because all she can really do in reference to Johnny saying that she's manipulating all this stuff, is to act like things are being done to her.
Right.
But Ashley is really smart, and she does make it to the end. She finds a way. So I think Johnny's right in calling her out. And she handles it in a very cunning way. But we can talk more about that at nominations.
Yeah, I did, like, so I think she said something to the effect of, like, make friends, you weirdo, to Johnny.
Yeah, see, she's hilarious.
And MTV decided it was a good time to play some weird song called, like, Jacqueline Hiding Me or something. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness.
MTV, chill.
Wow, low-key calling her cray-cray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
so yeah, there was that kind of drama, and then they just kind of went straight into the challenge. Like, so The challenge this week was called Decode and Detonate, is what I wrote down.
Yeah.
CT, that's his name, right?
Yes.
CT.
Or TJ? Okay. Are you talking about TJ?
No. Oh, shit.
The
TJ.
host is called TJ.
Yes, the host.
Yeah. We'll get this. We'll get this, guys.
Get this. I can't. Okay, TJ. J because... Maybe I'm going to remember J because J kind of looks like the shape of a hat. And he's always wearing a hat. Is he balding?
J? Or TJ?
TJ. There's a J, too?
J is a hard J.
Oh, oh my God.
Guys, it's going to be a long season.
You guys, there's so many people on this show. I don't think you understand.
Do you know who Casey is yet?
Casey, no. But if there's a Casey that's like a K and then a letter C, I will yeet myself out of this building.
It's like 6 letters. Okay,
yeah,
so TJ.
Yeah. So TJ says that this is an individual challenge.
Woo.
And I guess that means that it's running boys and girls at the same time, everyone in a mix. Right?
And there's no teams. Like
you're
in it for yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. So they had, I guess there's 26 people left in the... See, 26 people is a lot of people to memorize their names.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So there's 26 boards, one for each challenger, and there's a code written on the board or something in like an alien language where everything kind of looks like a letter that could be in English, but it's a bit off or a bit sideways and things like that. So it's like nothing is in English. It's like an alien language, and it has 8 characters.
Maybe it's Jen trying to talk to the Earthlings.
Yeah, it could be. So, so what they need to do is they need to look at their code, memorize it, and then away from them, I don't know how far out, but they did like a big zoom, and it looked pretty far in like some desert landscape. There were 2 hills, and each one had a board on them. And the board has only each board, or the boards together will contain all the translations that they need to translate their 8 character thing into an 8 number code.
I think they're also letters. Letters and numbers.
Okay, so it's letters and numbers, right. But they need to, one, run the distance while maintaining this like memory in their mind, and also visit both hills in order to come back and set it up.
Yeah.
So the strategy right off the bat like could differ for each person depending on like how good your memory is, right? And so Swaggy says is it that he has a photographic memory. So in theory, all he has to do is do a single loop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Run to hill 1, then hill 2, come back, and he'll have everything perfect.
And no one else is trying to get all of them in one fell swoop. So
yeah.
He's got it in the bag.
Right? Yeah. So one strategy I thought of, but I realized probably doesn't work, is because some people might not trust their memories. They're hoping that everyone's going to do really bad. And so what they might do is they'll run from their board to hill 1, then back to the board, then to hill 2, then back to the board. And like that would be minimum, right?
Yeah.
Some people like... I don't know, they're saying like I'm only gonna memorize 4 of them, or like things like that. They have different kinds of strategies. Yeah. Jordan's going for 5 on his first time, he says.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
yeah, and then CT like decides to name each of his puzzle things like cross, T, or whatever, so that he has a way of remembering it when he gets there. That's probably the best strategy. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Or try to do.
Definitely. Yeah. So the way that you remember it is that you like make everything look like something similar so that you could recognize it when you get to the board.
Yeah.
And then you just like chant those things in your head while you run. Or like literally someone's like doing it out loud and like fucking everybody else up. I can't remember who it was. But
Ashley.
That was like pretty.
Yeah.
Oh,
lovely
that was
Ashley.
Funny.
And they didn't. It wasn't that difficult the characters, because sometimes they'll really try and fuck you up and have a character that has, like, you know,
a lot of features,
something like
stuff.
some body, and then there's like 6 slashes, but then there's also one with 5 slashes, and then you're like, oh fuck.
Like really intricate.
So it seemed pretty simple. Like there wasn't anything that looked too similar to something else.
Yeah. So it's hard to tell from the way that they edited it, like that the people who are vying to win this, and there are 2 opportunities to win, right? So once you get all the letters decoded, you have fucking TJ check if your code is correct. If it is, it means that you can run across this field and push down this detonator that'll blow up a truck. And there's 2 trucks and you can only blow up one, which means that 2 people can win.
Yes.
So, Swaggy C is the one, I guess, who calls for a check first. And
photographic memory.
Not CT, but TJ is like, that is not correct, Swaggy. CT then asked for a check, and he got it. And so he ran, and he blows up the first truck, right?
Yeah. CT got it.
Yeah. Bayley did an interesting thing that I was thinking about doing, like, which is copying other people.
Is cheating, yeah.
Yeah. Like, in theory, like, anyone who's back could have a letter that is in your thing, and you should be thinking about that and factoring into how many trips you want to take, I think. Because if everyone takes one trip and then all the letters are there on this field, like, you can fill out your board.
Yeah, it's definitely something that a lot of challengers do. I would be wary of doing it on my first challenge because you want to build a certain reputation of actually being able to do shit. But we forgive her. She's trying to protect Swaggy, who clearly can't do anything with his little photographic memory. Because he's so hilarious. He never is close. He's never He never asked for another check.
We don't know how far off Swaggy was.
Yeah.
And how bad his memory was. That was not revealed. But it ends up being Bayley, right, who copies something off Dee's board, gets it right.
Off Jenny's board, yeah. And then she wins. She's like triumphant. And then, but theoretically 2 guys could have won. Or 2 girls.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was CT and Bayley. And they have to choose a third tribal member.
Yeah. So that was weird. Bayley was super happy because she's like, Swaggy gets to be, she has control now over Swaggy staying.
They're still adopting the strategy that they don't want Swaggy to go in. Yeah. Like, they're not interested in letting him get his red skull yet. I don't know what their plan is, who they're trying to put Swaggy against, but they're saving him for something. I don't know.
They're saving him for a comedy because his photographic memory bullshit was honestly so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And definitely that his girlfriend won, even though he was the first one to call for a check and she's the third one who gets a check. Like, he just looked so lame.
Yeah, he really did. Poor Swaggy.
Yeah. But, so it's CT and Bayley, like, arguing about who they're going to pick for the third. And Bayley, obviously, she really wants Swaggy in it.
Yeah.
Did she need to insist that he was in it so that he wouldn't get nominated?
She thinks that if he's not in the tribunal, the House will nominate him instead of Jay, which it is a possibility. I don't think necessarily that would have gone down because Bayley has tribunal power currently. And you don't necessarily want to piss her off when she has a little bit of power. But at the same time, if you want to go against Swaggy, I guess it doesn't really matter. So, it's a toss-up. And depending on how much you want to try and control it. Swaggy could have been voted in for sure. I still think it would have been Jay. Because he's small. And for some reason, they think that Jay's good at nothing. Even though Swaggy has proved to kind of be shit.
Maybe it's because everyone was still running and they didn't see him struggling. And
yeah.
They hadn't watched the episode yet.
Yeah. And then CT's argument is, I would rather have another girl because in his mind, neither of them can go in. So he would be the only one who can choose to go in.
Yeah.
And he's arguing that would give you power because, girls unite or anything. Theoretically, I was wondering what would happen if CT was like, if they couldn't agree. I would think that they'd give it to CT because he was first. Mm-hmm. So I'm not even sure he needed to listen to Bayley. I thought that was quite nice of him, personally.
Yeah, it seemed to me like he wasn't that insistent, and yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. So he decides to trust them, which at the time I was like, that's so dumb. They're planning something. But then I think Tori says that was a really smart move because it's putting them in the spotlight and now everyone can see if they're loyal, which is true. CT's sort of like, okay, go prove yourselves as rooks. Yeah. And if they're any kind of smart, at least Bayley seems a little bit smart strategically, then they won't cross someone this early in the game.
Yeah, I think something that Bayley even said during the challenge was that she was excited and was going to win it because she had a hella smart brain or something like that.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that she externalized her brain that way. It's not Bayley that's smart, it's her brain.
Yeah, she's got a smart brain. I've got a smart brain too. Like, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, the next thing is the nomination, which blows up.
Yeah.
So
this was so confusing to me.
Okay. So basically it starts with Ashley, D, and Ashley and D, they were in the same alliance last season. Okay. So, they're friends. Ashley, D, and then Melissa, who's that blonde British girl. She hasn't really done much this season.
Yeah.
They all want to try and throw in Johnny. And so there's a lot of people that don't like Johnny, right? He's kind of an ass. He's always in charge of stuff. I mean, just imagine, like, everything that you do as challengers, Johnny takes the reins, right? You've seen it at past nominations. Him and Wes sit at, like, the head of the nomination thing. All right, blah, blah, blah. Like, that would get annoying if you didn't like Johnny. You would, like, everything he would do would be annoying. He's loud and obnoxious, kind of rude. Wants to call you out, wants to figure you out. So a lot of people don't like him. So a lot of girls are like, yeah, I'll throw in Johnny. Kayla hears this conversation and goes to tell her friends Corey and Nelson that all the girls are voting for Banana, which, by the way, is false because she just overheard Dee, Melissa, and Ashley talking, which is in no way, shape, or form all of the girls.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think she was intending to be shady. I think that she just spoke too soon. And it's kind of dumb. Kayla acts like she knows more than she does. She still doesn't know how to play this game. And then the guys are really excited. Corey and Nelson have a past of going against Bananas in his alliances.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've not really been successful. Neither Corey nor Nelson have won a challenge. But they're kind of like, okay, we might be able to get him out. Everyone always wants to get Johnny out. They didn't think about doing it this soon. But since Ashley's been putting it in people's heads, they're like, okay, I guess we could do it right now. Why not? So what do? They go to Wes. Because they're looking for a leader. Yeah. And Wes has always gone against Johnny. So they're trying to test the waters and see, is he really aligned with Johnny or not?
That was such a stupid move to me.
You think?
To go to Wes. Yeah, like, oh my God. Like, Wes gains basically nothing by taking Johnny out now. Like, it's so much more of an asset to keep this, what he calls the unholy alliance with Bananas for, like, as long as possible, basically. Because, yeah,
I agree.
So dumb.
But I agree that it would be in Wes's best interest not to put Johnny in right now. But at the same time, if he were to, because what Wes doesn't do, he doesn't know what he's going to decide. He at least pretends not to know. Right. Us as viewers don't even always know what he's doing. he doesn't go and campaign at either for Johnny, like, let's save Johnny. He doesn't do that. And he does not try to wrangle people together and see how many votes would go that way. He doesn't do that. He's he's trying to kind of see where the cards fall. And then, you know, he's got to go decide. He says he has to go hide. He doesn't want to be implicated in the strategy, and he doesn't want to be talked to too much, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I also don't think that he tells Bananas, because Bananas is never shocked when people say his name, but he didn't seem to be expecting to have so many votes on his side. So at nominations, Wes and Johnny sit at the head of the table. There's no actual table. Johnny is leading, you know, saying, I'll start, blah, blah, blah. I'm voting for Jay. Jay throws it back to Johnny. I'm voting for you. And then Dee is the first to kind of be like, I'm voting for you, Bananas. Jay's cute, which I think is a pretty weak, like, let's stop using guys being cute as excuses for anything.
That was, so, something I don't think we've talked about before is, like, during the nominations part, when you cast your vote, like, first of all, is it locked in, like, as soon as you say it? And then also, like, who decides the order? It seems like they're just kind of, like, peppering in responses. It's not going, like, in a circle or anything either.
And that's interesting. And sometimes TJ will control the voting. Sometimes he'll actually come to the house and be like, okay, I want everyone's vote. And he makes you go down in a line. And the order can make a big difference.
Yes, definitely.
But in this season, they're all kind of controlling. It's like a mob mentality. They're all just, it's like a jury room, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's an interesting thing to point out. Now, I was watching, like, literally, like, 90 seconds of an Instagram live that Johnny did after the episode aired. And he said that once he caught wind of what was going on, he had to take control of the nomination, because if you just he's like, they're lemmings. If you just let them go in a line, they're gonna just go with the name that's being said. Yeah. Because at least it's not them. So he had to pick and choose, what's your vote? What's your vote? So he was picking people to show their ass, and he was picking people that he think would be on his side. He was trying to control it, which ended up in his favor, right? So Dee says, I'm voting for Bananas. So does Ashley, of course. Nelson votes for Bananas. Jordan usually rides with Bananas for a little bit. Yeah. Votes for himself, which is crazy to me, because he's kind of showing that he's not going to do anything to help Bananas in the game. I was surprised by it. I was surprised.
Once I figured out, like, you know, if he actually wants to just go to any elimination, like, as early as possible, like, burning a vote like this is not a bad thing to do, because then you're, like, staying out of the drama of, like, the Johnny shit. I mean, it also fits with their, like, what they were campaigning to Dee with, saying that they were, like, a clean slate or whatever, like, him and Tori. It kind of fits with that. If it's not, I took it as, like, it wasn't like he was saying, hey, fuck you, Johnny, but he was kind of saying, like, if you want my help, like, come talk to me or whatever. Like, that's what I took it as. I don't know.
I don't know if I see it the same way, because the clean slate thing is what Tori is saying. Right. And you never have a clean slate. Jordan and Bananas have a long history. They often see eye-to-eye strategy-wise. Both of them can shake hands at the end and say, like, it's a game. Sorry, I voted you in. But this is a clear decision this is a clear, like, when he said it, he was like, Jordan, he was, like, pissed about it. Jordan doesn't care. Jordan's not afraid to vote. Jordan's not afraid to be thrown in, ever. Even if it wasn't this type of challenge where you need a red skull, Jordan's never afraid to get thrown in. So he doesn't care if he's in the drama. He doesn't care if he's pissed you off. So I just thought that it was a poor showing. Perhaps Jordan thought it's early enough that where people can throw me in if they want to, and then, hey, I can go. It's possible he thought that. I don't think he wanted to go against CT. I don't think he necessarily would volunteer for it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so I just thought it was kind of weak. Tori votes for Jay, though. She's on the banana train. Jenny, Nani, Kayla, Casey, they all vote for Nelson. Which shocks Nelson. And I'm not even sure why. Who said it first? I can't remember who said it first.
It was so hard taking notes on this part. It all happened so fast.
I know, but I think it might be Jenna. It was Jenna. She said Nelly, and then he was like, Jenna! And he was still kind of playful about it. And then Nani and Kayla jump on the same train, which they're the Holy Trinity. They might have talked about this earlier. Maybe not Kayla. Casey jumps on that same bandwagon. And then
something I thought was so funny when Kayla voted is that they inserted in this interview clip with Bear saying that, like, oh, I'm just happy she's not voting for me. Like, that's a good thing for me, you know? We're a love story.
Like, love story that she didn't vote for. It's so... Bear's hilarious. Bear is just trying to make a story out of anything.
He really is.
Bear's that guy I told you is getting paid as much as Johnny Bananas just because he's so big in the UK. He's huge.
What?
Yeah.
Him? That's why they're putting him in? Oh, my God.
He's getting paid 100,000.
I do not. I like him so much less now.
I know. He's funny, though. So Kayla, in the middle of all of this, Kayla and Nelson fight. And he's basically acting like Kayla kind of... I feel like he thinks Kayla kind of contrived it. He was saying that she went to him and Corey saying that all the girls were voting for Bananas, and they flipped it. He outed her, saying, you were the one that came to me. And Kayla's trying to defend herself against Wes and Johnny, like, I didn't do that. I was just trying to be nice to them, whatever. So they fight in the middle of all this. And
how upset Kayla got, like, that was shocking to me. Like, I didn't understand why she was, like, immediately, like, so, like almost pleading with, like, Johnny and Wes, and, like...
She didn't want to be implicated that way. You don't want Johnny and Wes against you. And I don't think she meant to do what Nelson was saying, so she just really wanted to clear her name. She didn't want it to come off that way. And then once she votes for Nelson, Bananas is like, whatever, water under the bridge, I don't care. I really don't care about this argument. And then the moment comes when it's Wes's vote, and he votes for Bananas. Or he votes for Jay, sorry. He votes in favor of Bananas by putting Jay in. And then they make out a little bit.
Yeah, that was...
My heart swelled at that part, I'm just gonna say.
Really? That was so strange.
Not because of the makeout. No, not that part.
Okay.
But because the whole episode... First of all, I was excited. CT was going to go in. He won the challenge. And then all of a sudden Bananas is about to go in. And I'm like, what? And then, so I'm just like biting my nails. And then I'm like, oh my God, Wes is going to throw him in just to be an asshole. And then all my dreams of their unholy alliance is going to die. And then he comes through. And my heart was just singing. It was singing. And later Johnny tells him, like, it's because when you did it when the vote still mattered. Yeah. And then after Wes votes Jay, other people who were going to vote for him vote for Bananas don't. Like Melissa, she ends up voting for Jay. And so, because the other side, they do need a leader. And unfortunately, Ashley is not a big enough leader. They don't follow women. And, like, there was a season where the house was divided against one of Johnny's best friends, Kenny, and Wes. And Wes was the face of the other alliance, but he had a female, Evelyn. She's considered to be one of the best females to ever play. She was telling him what moves to make. But Wes had to be the face of it because people just don't follow women. And it sucks. Totally. I mean, it's a total mirror of our society. But anyways, once Wes has settled in that he's not going to jump ship, the little rebellion just kind of dies.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Jay's going in. And Ashley has a meltdown. She jumps on a table. Like, she aims it at Jenna, Nani, Kayla, Casey, because they were the girls that voted. Their votes were a long series of ones that changed the tide of everything. Right. And she's like, I won't be nice to you guys because it's fake, apparently. And Nani's just laughing because she does this every season. Ashley just melts down.
Yeah, it was interesting because it turned into a story of, like, Ashley's leading some kind of, like, cunning-ass rebellion against Johnny. But, the events leading up to it, to me, did not read that way at all. Yeah. Like, that could never possibly be her plan right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not. Like, if this were just some random person, like Jenna... Yeah. Like, if Ashley was campaigning against Jenna, it wouldn't have happened because she's not an actual political mastermind. Yeah. People hate Johnny. It's easy to be like, let's throw Johnny in. They're like, sure, why not? Yeah. It's not like she had to work that hard. She really didn't. So I don't give her credit for that. Yeah. Okay, so the next part.
So the vote goes to Jay, and then they decide to have a Halloween party. I guess that puts the filming of this back in October.
Did they say specifically it was Halloween? Because you're supposed to bring a few costumes to the challenge because people randomly, they get bored. Like I said, you don't even have Sudoku to entertain yourself. Every now and then they're like, let's dress up. So people have just learned to bring costumes to the challenge. I do think they have pumpkins, so I do think it was actually Halloween. Yeah.
It was cute. Like, I love Halloween personally. And they just it's a time for them to get out of the bunker and go to a bar, which is interesting because, I'm not honestly convinced that they're underground. I think they just might be in a big warehouse.
Maybe.
But, I don't know. But they act like leaving the bunker is a big deal, so that's that. They're
it's kind of like us in quarantine. Like, and what if the governor was just like, let's all go to a club? We're like, but germs didn't matter. That's the stipulation. They're just excited to get out because they're never let out.
So, they've got weird costumes on. They're in some, like, bar. It's hard to tell how drunk people are because they don't really have, like, much scenes of that kind of stuff. But anyway, Dee is a cat and she's talking to Jenny, and I don't know what Jenny is.
I don't know what. I think she might be a devil. She was wearing a red dress.
Oh, okay. Their costumes were weak.
Dee was a cat, but she had, like, webs in her eyes. I was like, what are you?
Yeah, it was. No,
there was a lot of cholo guys just dressed as cholos because they have a flannel shirt.
Fucking stupid. But yeah, Dee is debating whether she should make a move on Jay, and we didn't talk about it really, but, like, Dee and Jay were kind of, like, having a weird, not a mutual flirting, but, like, having something, like, the day before, at breakfast. I always think when they're at those tables, they must be at breakfast. Yes. We must break the fast.
Yes.
But anyway, where Dee was, like, kind of coming on to Jay, but he was like, I would be stupid to engage with you because it would make an enemy of Rogan, which is dumb. But at this party, Dee is talking to Jenny and being like, I know he's not into me, but should I go try and, like, get it?
Yeah.
Anyway, and it works, right? They, like, have this hella long kiss. It was almost unrecognizable because you couldn't really tell, like, Jay, what was his costume?
He was a cholo.
Like a cholo? Yeah.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah.
He didn't really look like himself, but they, like, make out, and then Rogan gets pissed. Does he? Like, he throws some drama, but, like, I don't know. I was, like, pretty confused by this. First of all, Dee's strategy here. Like, why did she need to do that?
I'm very confused by... I don't know if I'm confused, but I don't like the game that Dee's playing. Because she continuously mentions Rogan. Like, this is going to make him jealous, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, how old are you? How fucking old are you? First of all, this guy, like, tore your heart out, talk shit about you on national TV. Like, I don't understand why you, first of all, are she calls him a ride or die at some point. Like, he's my ride or die. It's like, why? He's an ass. And he's being misogynistic because he's acting like he has some kind of claim on you. Yeah. And you're kind of allowing him to. You're like, we didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. Jay has already said it would be better for his game if she just stopped coming at him. Because he said, you know, you're hot, but I'd be stupid. And then she comes at him when he's drunk. How much is he consenting? You know, it's just like, she's just kind of annoying me this season. I've officially just putting that out there.
Yeah. You know, and I'm trying to empathize with her because you sent me that clip of their, like, War of the Worlds reunion.
Yeah.
Where, you know, she has that, like, crying moment that is so hard to watch as a person because you're like, oh my God. Like,
because he tore out her fucking heart.
That is, like, humiliation, and that is, I mean, especially when Bear tries to hug her, like, I mean, it just sent me straight, it sent me straight back to, like, basically the worst day of, like, elementary school, like, what that would be, you know, is the day when you cry in front of everybody and someone tries to, like, tease you while you're crying.
Yes.
And people laugh.
But here's the thing. I would be all for it if she was coming at, okay, I mean, in woman solidarity, I empathize with you. I would be all for it if she was like, fuck Rogan, I'm going to do everything I can to piss him off, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But the fact that she's calling him her friend, her ride or die.
I know, the ride or die, like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get it. How can your ride or die make you cry to that extent on national TV?
I think the only reason, I mean, so she might still, like, emotionally like Rogan, or... I mean, I don't know what she's thinking there, if that's the case. None of us but do. Also, like, she's not, as we saw last episode, she's not a very confident challenger. Like, she doesn't vote herself in. Yeah.
She puts off a vibe that she is, but deep down, I don't think she is.
But she's not. Yeah. And so keeping Rogan as, like, her ride or die, even if they're going to have this, like, romantic disagreement, but still, like, strategically aligned, she's trying to get far in the game, I guess. And it's just, that's the only explanation I can see for, like, her behavior.
Yeah, you know, he's an alliance member or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, Rogan then asks CT to go in versus Jay later that night. And he has this big furry jacket on, which I think is important.
Yeah, that was really weird. Also, I was wondering, like, how late is it? Like... Is this when everyone's asleep? Like,
I guess it depends on the country in terms of when they get home. Like, when do the clubs close? Yeah. But yeah, so he's basically pleading to CT. I really want to go in against Jay because he's, like, macking on my woman. Yeah. But CT's argument is, this is potentially the easiest Red Skull. So why should I give it to you? Because you love me. Yeah.
That was dumb.
Yeah, CT and Rogan got close-ish last season, but I mean, CT's not gonna just throw himself over for some dude.
Yeah, that was weird.
Okay, so the tribunal.
So they ask for Rogan, Bear, and Nelson.
Do you understand why?
I mean, I guess, like, because Rogan asked CT for it, it helps CT to put Rogan in. I mean, not that it ends up mattering, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an option for Rogan.
Yeah.
They put in Nelson because it's just the rule of the challenge. If you blow up, you're going in. It's like a scapegoat almost. Like if you have a bad night or whatever, then you're going in. So Nelson's going in.
If you blow up, meaning, like, if you have a fight or if you have a lot of people vote you in for...
If you have, like, a fight or an argument or you're yelling and screaming. Like, if this were a girls' elimination, probably Ashley or Kayla would have gone in.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, like, if you're messy one day, it's just an excuse to throw you in.
Yeah.
It's almost like a slap on the hand. Like, don't be a weirdo.
Yeah.
And then they choose Bear because they know Bear... He loves the attention, and he's not going to necessarily come after them. He's not going to be angry about it. He's just Bear. Which I love when Bear is walking into the room. He's like, this is mental, isn't it? Like, he's just, like, commenting, like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Because it's like the three of them sitting there with missiles behind them.
Yeah.
Like, so weird.
And he's just like, this is intimidating, isn't it? And he basically just, all he says is he doesn't want to go in right now. And he kind of goes in on Nelson coming after his girl. He's, for some reason, he just won't give up on Kayla.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem that great.
Yeah, like, what is their chemistry? I don't get it. How does he know her?
And then Nelson goes in, and they're kind of like, why did you blow up? And he's just like, I was blindsided. And he doesn't campaign to go in, but he also said, like, eliminations are what I'm known for, quote unquote, which is not true at all. I don't think Nelson would think, wow, eliminations, great at him. He has won the few that he's been in, but there are tiers. Like, you better beat some badass motherfuckers before I think that you're an elimination guy. Like, you've beat some lower tier guys, so I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. But, yeah, so he didn't campaign to go in, but he also said that he thought he could definitely win against Jay.
Yeah, so... I'm just wondering what some of them are waiting for.
Yeah.
I think some of them are just trying to get through a lot of the season. Like Bear, for example. Like, just get through as much camera time as you can.
Right.
So, I don't know. Or maybe some of them think Jay's tougher than others are letting on, maybe.
That's true.
Rogan, he comes in. He says, I want to go in. I want to go against Jay, and they kind of ask him, like, what game, and he says he wants a headbanger more than anything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where all of their interrogations go.
Yeah. I mean, so, yeah, Rogan was kind of arguing that, like, he's really, emotionally invested in this, right? That the Red Skull would just be the bonus for him. Like, don't see me as a future competitor that you're guaranteeing by throwing me in against Jay. Like, you know, just help me scratch this itch or something. Which was, it was dumb. And there was, like, a weird little, like, scrap afterwards between Jay and Rogan. Yeah. And Jay says, you know, you haven't even gone into one elimination yet, which is true. And he calls him, like, a follower. So Jay's not intimidated by Rogan at all, and I really believe that he's not. Because Rogan hasn't proven himself yet. He's won a challenge, but again, he's done it without going into elimination. So he's just kind of ridden coattails and gotten there by an alliance, which is not really that impressive. Jay's not impressed at all. But Rogan is basically saying, you're not even going to be here past tomorrow. So it doesn't matter what the fuck you think.
And then Jay's making the argument, like, Bayley and Swaggy are my friends.
Yeah, are they really? Just because they're rookies? Like, I didn't understand why he was trying to ally with them in this moment.
Yeah, because in the first episode, he gets with all the rooks, and he's like, we gotta band together, blah, blah, blah. They haven't had a lot of screen time together, but that could just be editing. That we don't see their friendship.
Yeah.
So, yeah. He says he's going to try and shut him out of...
I have to acknowledge that I think it's probably 8 o'clock right now. Yeah, it's 8:01 p.m. And in my neighborhood, people start howling at 8 o'clock every night.
Go howl.
I haven't participated yet because I'm like, is it just a single household that are howling as a family? Would it be weird if someone else howled with them?
They're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, anyway, so if you hear any howls, that's what it is.
Yeah, which it reminds me of our school, how we used to have the scream. When was that? During finals week?
Yeah.
Every night at midnight or something like that?
Was it midnight? Yeah, I guess it was midnight.
And you just go out and scream your little heart out. Mm-hmm. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I did like that.
UCLA had some good traditions.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Okay, so elimination.
Yeah, elimination. God. So, yeah, they walk out. They're, like, circling around the arena to get up to the stands. And
the arena.
Yeah, and there's these two, like, concrete little outhouse type little structures.
Bunkers.
Yeah, they're bunkers, but when someone says a bunker, I think of, like, something you get in to watch an explosion from. And these were like jail cells, right? Yeah. They were like an outhouse jail cell. And kind of like off to one corner or one like part of the circle, there was like a pile of shit. So like building
not actual
material.
Pile of shit for not people shit. Who have not seen it.
Yeah. But like broken concrete pieces and like rope and chains and cinder blocks and just sorts of like crude materials.
Barrels, bullshit like that.
Yeah. So they're kind of looking up to the stands and kind of like wondering, is this a puzzle? Like, what did you think the challenge was gonna be when you saw all that?
Honestly, I thought... I'm trying to think about the first raw thought I had. Mm-hmm. Which was that they were gonna have to charge at each other.
Whoa.
Yeah, but then once they all got standing there, I was like, oh, they have to barricade the doors and then get in. I thought that it was what it was gonna be.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah. And that's honestly just because I've watched 10,000 eliminations.
I thought that was a really cool challenge. I mean, maybe you've seen something similar. I thought that the challenge was going to be, like, you have to build the closest version of this building using these materials. Yeah. Like, it was going to be an art installation.
Yeah. Anytime you have doors, usually you have to find a way to get in. So that's what I figured. But we technically haven't had this elimination yet.
Okay. Yeah, it was called, so they're kind of like talking about what kind of challenge this is. Looks like a puzzle maybe. And then it's kind of like TJ asked the tribunal, like, so what's up? Like, what y'all gonna do? And CT unzips his jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's wearing his little Challenger tank or whatever, and he's like, I'm in.
Yeah. I was excited. I know you're not here for all these moments, too. But I was like, yes, you too. Because I didn't want him to give it to Rogan. He gave Bayley and Swaggy C a bone by choosing Swaggy as the tribunal. Like, don't just let others do whatever. So he goes in, and Jay's like really excited about it. Yeah. And I thought that was so cute. He was just like
his fanboy energy was so cute. I was so into it. And it kind of, I was watching it and thinking like, oh, I bet Gabby like has more respect for him because he's like you know, he's got respect for CT.
Yeah. But also, most people would have a very morose face if they were going against CT, but Jay's just like, yeah, like, this is gonna be hard. And that is the kind of spirit that I really love, which is what makes me love Jay more and more.
I totally loved it too.
It helped me root for him, even though I'm rooting for CT. I love Jay's energy. He just wants to get in there and get his hands dirty.
Yeah, and also that, like, definitely when Jay was put in for the first elimination, episode 1 against Asaf, which he killed. Let me just remind everyone. Like, yeah, he was, like, kind of pissed, right, at being singled out week 1. And I think his attitude here, like, he's being, like, thrown under the bus, like, again. But he's like, if I'm going to go out now, like, I'm going to fucking, like, burn bright against, like, this dude that I'm super excited to compete against.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be legendary, like, no matter what.
Yeah, and he says at one point, this is, like, a bomb-ass matchup, which probably no one else was thinking because Jay's considered a layup. Even though he's won a Red Skull, everyone's still like, he's going to be awful. Because he's probably the littlest guy there. Swaggy might be skinnier. I don't know, but he's taller, and so people just assume Jay's, like, the smallest.
Yeah. I thought,
And so, but Jay, in his mind, is like, this is a good matchup because he's the only one that believes that he can do it, basically.
Right, he can do it. Yeah, I thought that was so cool, and, like, I like Jay, bruh.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
and,
it's called Take Shelter. Okay.
Yeah, it's called Take Shelter. So, yeah, it ends up, they're not building anything. They have to put a bunch of shit. How long did they have? Like 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
20 minutes to contrive any kind of way of keeping someone from getting inside this door.
Yeah.
This jail cell door. Because inside there's a button that'll send off some firework or whatever, and that means you've won if you get to the light first. Yeah. And so your strategy is spend 20 minutes barricading this door, using all this shit, and then you'll swap sides, no break, and you'll try and break into the other one. So, yeah. Jay looks like he has no strategy at all.
Yeah.
Basically, all the way through, it looks like like, what is he thinking, really?
Yeah.
Because he just, like, is picking up, like, blocks. He's, like, lumping them near the door. Like, not even... It's like, what are you doing? He's definitely exerting himself a lot, but it's not clear that it's doing any good.
Yeah, because also there's a gap between how much they can each lift. Like, CT can lift more than Jay, and that's not even underestimating Jay. It's just clear that Jay's a smaller guy.
Yeah.
And he can't probably bench press as much as CT can. And it's true, like, as people are watching, they're like, CT's gonna burst through this like the Hulk.
Yeah.
And which he does, kind of, for a little bit. Yeah. Like, when he actually does, not to go forward, but he, like, throws these things aside that took Jay so long. Because he's a little dude. But Jay never stops working hard. He is jogging his little heart out.
Yeah, he going stays back focused. And forth. He's grabbing seemingly random things from the cornucopia. And meanwhile, CT is crafting this magnificent tangle of shit over the other door. And he does at the end kind of, like, pile up some, like, big pieces of concrete on top of his knot. But most of it is just this really intimidating knot of crap. That's, like, hooked onto these little hooks that are in the concrete, and that end up being, like, the failing, right?
Yes.
You know, he didn't, like, secure it onto the hooks, which meant, like, Jay could just, like, unlift the whole knot, or, like, part of that knot off of a hook and clear a big way for himself.
Yeah. And CT is taking some of his experience into play, because he's done this elimination before where it's like a big kind of like a jungle gym type of thing, like dome, where you have to interweave rope all throughout it, and then you have a similar amount of time, and then you have to switch sides and untangle their rope first.
Yeah.
And he adopts that strategy here. He knows what a bitch it is to untangle rope, because he's had to do a challenge. And he won that elimination when he did it. And he did it against a very top tier competitor. But the only thing that's different here is the amount of space. When you are having to weave into this big dome, it takes longer, and you just, when you have this little compact space, if you don't do it perfectly, then it can fall through, and that's what happened. But if he had secured everything perfectly, Jade would never have gotten through even half of those knots. Which is
exactly,
I think it was CT's fault for underestimating how hard Jay's was going to be to undo. I really think that he underestimated it.
And I think, like, it could have been so easy for Jay, once they swap and he, like, is dealing with what CT has set up for him to just be like, fuck. Like, any reasonable person watching this, like, would assume that CT is going to win this, especially because he looked, like, inches from it when, like, at the point where Jay had just kind of revealed the knot, like, had moved the shit in front of the knot out of the way, it looked like CT was already almost done.
Right. So,
yeah.
To backtrack, like, a little bit, when CT is doing his barricading his bunker, he spends about 15 minutes on the knots and the chains with the rope. And then he spends about 5 minutes grabbing the biggest boulders he can find, the biggest barrels he can find, and throwing that on top. And that does take Jay a long time once they do switch. And when they switch, it's just whoever does it first.
Right.
CT's on the other side, like, throwing everything up that Jay put in front of his door. And then Jay's, like, trying to move these boulders, and really he can't lift them. He's kind of rolling them away. Yeah. Before he can kind of get to the knots. And they had underestimated the little chain that Jay weaved through a lot of cinder blocks. And, that was, like, the last line of defense. And it was little, and you would think that CT could break through it. Right. And I think if CT had maybe another 10 seconds, maybe he could have burst through it. But to everyone's surprise, because we were surprised too when Jay opened the door. If they had seen, like, they could have been like, CT, Jay's about to open the door. So CT could have been like Hulk mode.
Exactly.
And because it was so surprising, I don't think that CT put every ounce of strength he could into breaking the chain.
Yeah, that was so crazy. Because, like, also, it looked like he had the door basically open to agree that he could have, like, slipped into it. Yeah. Right? Like, he had the door open, and then Jay just fucking all the way opens the door and runs the fuck in there. It just seemed like it was the surprise that, like, won it for Jay in some way. And also that, like, you know, because it would seem like CT as a competitor, you're tired because you've been lifting heavy shit for, like, 25 minutes or whatever at this point. Like, you're so far ahead of this guy, you can, like, not be hustling your ass off to break these fucking cinder blocks or whatever he was trying to do. Yeah. Like, throwing these cinder blocks against the door to try and break the chain. Like, all these weird strong dude shit moves.
Because he's, like, trying to break it rather than unknot it.
Yeah, unknot it, right.
And that, in theory, is effective, but it is taking his endurance little by little. And CT is almost 40. He's like 39 right now. And I think that he's just trying to pace himself. Like, his pace is a little slower. And I think that just got him. Because he wasn't worried. He was not, there was not a point where he was like, let me put it into my final beast mode. And Jay never lost focus. He didn't pay attention to what CT was doing. He didn't pay attention to the crowd. He was just hustling the whole way through. And it was such an awesome moment when he got in there. Like, even me, who adores CT, he's one of my favorites. My heart just leapt, and I was like, dude, good for you. Good for you. because he just took out someone that he called an idol to him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, that must have felt incredible. And he worked hard for it. That was so
cool. Yeah, and I liked how, like, they come... Yeah. Because they both... It was basically, like, a simultaneous win. Like, if CT had, like, seen, you know, had been more aware of the situation or less tired, like, he could have won that for sure. But, like... instead of being like super bitter about it, it seemed like CT just like went out there. Jay wanted a hug because of course this is his like magic moment, and like they hug, and yeah, it was like a pretty positive, you know, Jay like thanked him. It was like, it was cute.
Yeah, and CT's like, don't make it weird.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was cute. And it's true, because now people like CT are going to the challenge with people who are fans, and that must be kind of weird in the house, like a weird vibe.
I love that vibe.
I know. Okay. It's really cute. Wow. It's so cute that not only is Jay a fan, but he's willing to put in the work for it, and he's willing to just go with the flow. Like, he's going to get thrown in probably a few more times before they realize he's perhaps not beatable. Because they're hoping for a headbanger. Something where literally their size is going to be the only factor. And they might not get that for a while. I'm surprised why they why they would continue to throw him in, though. Because he's going to be the only one with a fucking red skull by the end of this.
Yeah, that's exactly... I was going to say that, like, their lack of doubt that Jay would be, like, a bad player, that it was just because he's a climber and he's small, that he had the better strategy, that he won in that first elimination. That seems so stupid, and it totally... I mean, I guess some people are interpreting Jay's win as actually working in their favor because it takes out CT and it keeps a supposed layup Jay in the house. But, like... I'm kind of like, you guys say that there's only, 12 eliminations. That means 12 chances for people to run the final or something like that.
Absolutely.
Like, you blew another one on the same dude who already did it. That's one less chance for everybody. That's, like, worse. I don't know. That's dumb.
And TJ gives him a second red skull. So I wonder how that's going to come into play.
I thought maybe that, like, it would have been like, oh, you won another one and now your skull is blue. I keep thinking that the colors mean something. Like, why?
They could.
Why?
He might be building a team. I don't know. But he loves to reveal things later. But you're right. I think that they're going to stop picking Jay because, at some point they're going to realize that there's only so many chances. But it's just, they're just kind of being selfish. And they're like, I'm going to pick and choose who I want to go against. But the thing that they're underestimating, and this harkens back to, I think Big T was the one who said that sometimes what wins it is heart, and it's true in certain scenarios. And in this scenario, I think Jay has enough heart to beat a fucking army. He's just so hungry.
Maybe it's the fact that, dear listeners, there's like, so this is a BTS, they're a K-pop band, and they were supposed to have concerts this weekend in Seoul, but they had to cancel because of coronavirus shit. And so right now, as we speak, they're doing these like live streams of old concerts, and just now Gabby misspoke, said BT before she said Big T. And then she said that Jay had the heart to win against an army, and army is what the BTS fandom is called.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I'm like a low-key fan. What if I was hiding my love for BTS from you?
I would literally drive down there, break social distancing, and murder you. Because it'd be like, we could have been talking about this the whole time.
I know. Bitch. Liz is obsessed with them. They had a concert last night. She's missing one right now.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have a concert last night. They were showing concert footage on YouTube. Yeah. But anyway.
Do you have any predictions for the next episode? It's a girls' day. It looks like they're doing like a gosh, what are they doing? Like, getting puzzle pieces out of an icy water thing?
Yeah. That's what it looked like. Yeah, getting puzzle pieces. There was some other crazy shit in the trailer, but I really didn't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
I know. I just remember being like, oh my God. But then it just left my mind.
Bear with the fire extinguisher.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And girls stupid. Like hitting him. It looks like Ashley and Nani are going after him. And Bear does incite a lot of drama. Like, he's just a loud personality. He gets in people's faces. When he gets drunk, he, like, will fuck with you. So lots of people have been like, Bear, stop! So, it's just probably one of those days. Bear's probably gonna get thrown in at some point.
Yeah.
But
I think based on, well, I don't know, like, based on the preview, my prediction would be that, like, some Bear Kayla shit is gonna come to a head, because they can't be dragging that subplot out for too long unless it's really crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for the girls, this isn't a prediction, but I hope that they introduce more of the girls. Like, it seems like there's a few who have kind of, like Melissa, who the hell is that? Maddie. I'd like to see, like, some of the, like, flip side. Also, Nani, like, she had that thing with Asaf, but, like, hasn't had really anything else.
Yeah, Nani has a good social game, but she is not top tier competitor. She's probably like the top tier of the second layer, but sometimes she gets shut out in terms of, like, winning victories. But
yeah,
I hope that we do get more Maddie. I hope that we get a little bit more Casey, because she seems like a cool person. I don't want to see more of BAYLEIGH and her blanket.
That's so true. Yeah, so Anissa is, I guess, like, sharing a room with BAYLEIGH and Swaggy, or maybe just BAYLEIGH. But anyway, there's a blanket with all their faces, like, couples photos of the two of them that BAYLEIGH uses when she sleeps. And Anissa says, like, in one of the photos, they're wearing a couple's picture t-shirt.
Yeah, and also, he's, like, trying to get a blanket for her, and she's like, no, not that one, the other one. So he, like, covers her, and then she, like, sometimes she, like, pouts, and I just feel like they have a total, like, daddy fucking brat relationship.
Ew,
it's disgusting.
I
don't like their vibe. Because it's just so weird in a challenge house to have that vibe. Yeah. I mean, we're warriors, we're Spartans over here trying to win some money, and they're over here like, not that one, I want the blanket with our faces on it.
Oh,
thanks.
You gave me chills just now. Like,
are they multiplying?
They're multiplying.
And then CT's final words, he needs a tune-up, he says.
Right, yeah.
Which, to be fair, he's been saying for a few seasons. Because, and one thing that I did was show Liz a few of CT's good clips, like his, wins in the past. Yeah. He was in great shape in his 20s and a big part of his 30s. He was in great shape. And he was just a natural athlete. He was really great. And now he's got a dad bod, and he's still very naturally athletic. He's never going to run as fast as, Fassi and Jordan and Jay unless he loses some weight. That's just how physics works.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I liked his attitude in his exit interview, being like, gotta give it to the kid, that was cute.
Yeah, he's a good dude, and when you have new kids coming in that are actually hungry for the challenge part and not the camera part, not the money, just the challenge and proving that you can do things you didn't think you could do, that's gonna win against people who they've done this for years and it's kind of a job.
Yeah.
Not to say that CT doesn't still love the challenge, but the hunger is different.
The hunger is different after you drink that weird marinated duck soup or whatever in that clip you showed me.
The poopy drink. Yeah.
The poop soup. Yeah.
I think it was Rivals 2 finale with Wes. Yeah. Hunger's different since then. That was his first win that season, actually. So
Aww.
that was his first championship. It took him a while.
Wow.
Okay.
He drank it.
So that was challenge episode 3.
Dude, and we got through that like so much faster than we have the past 2 episodes.
We're still at an hour and a half though, so
yeah. But still,
okay.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah, so episode 3, we didn't pick anything that went with 3s, but Gabby, you had the suggestion of because Jay coming out on top as the underdog in this elimination, that we should talk about like moments where we've been the underdog. And
you had a beautiful one. I thought it was so much like Jay's triumph. You said you're like, is it grad school?
Oh God. See, okay, I've been thinking about it all day, because the only thing I could think of like the last time, or when you brought this up, was like that I was in school to get my PhD. In order to become a PhD candidate, you need to pass this qualifying exam, which is what it was at my school. And it's so hard because you have to do like a general portion, like know about general science. And for that part, you had to read like a bunch of kind of like foundational articles, or just ones about like broad topics that you could be quizzed on, like a handful of them, but you were responsible for like basically 30 different fields of knowledge and all the techniques they used in these science papers. So a fucking lot of information. And then that was the general part. And then separately, you had to propose like a thesis project, like in different parts of a research project and what you hope to get, and have to defend that proposal. And that means knowing like all the background knowledge of your field, or how kind of experiments. You have to think about what experiments you'd propose and why they're the best ones, and what controls you would set up and all that. So just like a ton of knowledge. And I was so convinced that like, I entered college as a history major. I did like an interdisciplinary degree, so I wasn't all science all the time. I was just convinced that like, I've never been a science bitch in my life. How am I going to pull this the fuck off and prove to everyone I'm a science bitch? I was just so sure that I couldn't like study that much. But I did, and I passed. And I don't know, like, it was only me really that thought I was the underdog in that moment. Like, most people do pass, or get like a conditional pass where you have to like retake a portion of the exam. The format of the exam is super intimidating. Like, you have to stand in a room with like 3 professors, and they quiz you about anything in the world for as long as they want.
Wow.
Right? And you have no notes and no materials if you don't know the answer.
That's super intimidating. Fuck.
Right? Yeah. So it's scary. But like, I finished very quickly, which like kind of how long it takes is kind of a sign of like how confident they are in you in theory.
Right. Yeah. Like, this person's a dumbass, or this person's good.
Like, we need to actually like put them through some shit, because this project like might actually not be a good idea, or blah blah blah. So I finished quickly, but I still don't really like use it as any kind of... I think the problem there is that like, I still don't feel like this moment was that cool, right?
Why not?
Because, well, one, I don't have the PhD. I fucking left grad school. I mean, passing my qualifying exam basically gave me a master's, but that wasn't what I was trying to do. So that's like one way that it fails. And then the other way that it fails is that like, I took my exam on a Friday afternoon. Like, people want to go home. One of my professors, I found out his wife was in labor, or like approaching active labor. So I'm like, they just passed me because they're humans and they don't want to be there just as much as I don't want to be there.
I feel like that is your insecurity coming into play.
It's insecurity. I know that there's some truth in it. Like, they are humans and I'm a human and all that. But like, Yeah, I still can't take this underdog moment as a win for me yet. I think it's going to take some years to process this.
I mean, you did the studying, and even if you had not passed, that would have been pretty cool. Like, you did this thing that was really scary, intimidating. You didn't shit your pants, and you can try again. But you did pass. You passed on your first go.
Yeah.
And you can't do all of these, like, this factor, and this factor makes it so that it wasn't that much of a win. Like, and we all do that. Like, the first couple semesters or quarters at UCLA, I was like, it's a fluke that I even got in. You know, like, it's just like, we always do that to ourselves. I don't know why.
Yeah. And definitely, like, the feeling after I passed, like, walking back to my lab, knowing that my lab was going to have, like, a party ready for me. Or actually, they didn't have one ready for me quite yet because I had finished so early. Like, that's how kind of good it was, you know?
Yeah.
And it was such a good feeling, like, calling my parents and all that. Like, it does seem shitty to try and take away that win from past Elizabeth, because present Elizabeth still feels weird about how grad school ended up.
Yeah, it shouldn't take, you still got your master's from that exam. Like, it's
That's
not,
right.
It's not, it shouldn't be taken away from that moment.
Yeah.
For sure.
And, like,
be kind to
technically,
yourself.
yeah. So that was my underdog moment.
This is one of those things where our other conversation of, like, fake it till you make it kind of comes into play.
Yeah.
Like, tell yourself that you deserve that enough times, and maybe you start to believe it more and more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You gotta talk to yourself kinder, and then perhaps you'll treat yourself kinder.
Yeah. And just, like, shift things around in your head so that they're not always just, like, in that negative category by default.
Yeah.
Like, take it out, wipe it off, maybe move it to the right a little bit more.
It's definitely searching for the rain clouds rather than the, you know, the sunshine. Wow.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't have anything quite so deep.
No, I love superficiality.
Yeah, superficiality for the win.
Yeah.
But so we both went to UCLA, and I don't know if you participated in this, Liz, but I went to orientation.
I did too.
And they're, like, on the third night of orientation, there's, like, this scavenger hunt called Carpe Noctem. Did you participate in that?
I don't know if I did, but I don't feel like I would have not done something if that there was an option to do something.
Yeah, it wasn't like an organized activity, like, on your day agenda, but, like, everyone gets together at night, and, like, I think some counselors, like, put it together or whatever, like the summer camp counselors or whatever the fuck they're called.
Yeah.
Or orientation counselors. And I remember I was friends with this girl who, she ended up being my friend for years after that. We even got an apartment together at some point. And, we kind of got with this other girl who I was friendly with, because we had ridden, like, on the tram to where we were gonna go to line up in our groups, and we were kind of cool, and we didn't interact other than that, like, 10 minutes, and then later on, she was cool. And then, so we all decided, I think she brought someone else with her. I can't remember exactly, but we were, like, talking, and then when it came time to get into, like, these teams, we, like, hooked up with these guys near us. And not actually hooked up with them, but, like, we were like, do you guys want to be a team? And we were all just so excited. We're little 18-year-old freshies, just, like, excited to meet people, right? You're in that orientation mode where you're like, who's going to be my best friend for the next 4 years?
Oh my God.
Is it you? Is it you? So we just meet up with we just, like, hook up with these guys who were also kind of just, like, 4 people hanging around. I think there was, like, a suggested number of people you wanted in your group, and we needed more. And they were like, sure. And I remember they were with this guy who was called, like, he was, like, he was like this really small cross-country looking Asian guy. And I remember he looks at us and he's like, "Are you guys gonna try to win?" And that was just quite the energy to start with. And obviously we said yes, and I always try to win everything that I do. I'm really highly competitive. It plagues my life a little bit. Like, just play Monopoly and don't flip the table. So and then the other girl I was with, she was also pretty competitive. So we were down to win. But this was a scavenger hunt where some people gave up, went to In-N-Out. Yeah. Because there was an In-N-Out, like, kind of close to, like, our neurosurgery buildings. Like, people just kind of gave up, kept walking to Westwood. Right. People walked the whole thing.
I think that's what I did.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. They go to Diddy Reese, get some ice cream. Yeah. They just walked around the campus at night talking, getting to know each other. I would choose the team that's like, we're gonna win. So, like, we're in this really intense team. We come up with a name. It was called we were the Snoops. And for some reason the guy just said, let's be the Snoops. And then our like chant was like, we'd go like, Snoops. Yep, that is correct. It's such a vivid memory in my head because it was such a crazy time. And so basically, if you don't know the UCLA campus, there's a lot of hills. Yep. And there's just a lot of terrain to cover, right? And so the scavenger hunt is set up where you have to go all over the motherfucking campus. Like, you know, like from our neurosurgery, like science-y buildings down to like or up to like our film is like, what, like a couple miles maybe?
It's pretty far. I had to do that. Yeah, it's really far.
And there's hills in the middle of this. And my team wants to run all of it. And I am not a runner. So what do you have to do
when you get there? Did you have to take a picture? Or was there someone there to like stamp a card?
Yeah, you had to take pictures. Okay. You had to take pictures. And I'm not a runner. Okay? And I didn't even... I am known for my brain, not my body. And I didn't see one of those clues for 1 second. My job was not to die. Yeah. That was my only job. Because you had to come back with the team that you started with, right? So...
And everyone has to be in every picture? Is that...
Yes. Everyone has to be in every picture. Oh my God. So... I'm not a runner by any means. I've always been a plus-size girl who cannot... Even in my peak, I couldn't run a mile in under 10 minutes. Yeah. So, my team wants to run every clue. And it was probably... The scavenger hunt's probably the length of an hour total. Yeah. And so we're running from... There's hills, and we're running from place to place.
I would have died.
I was dying. And the girl I was with, who was in better shape, she was also dying. Yeah. But I was, like, hyperventilating. And it was such a moment of... I don't want to be the weak link on this team. Yeah. I do not want to be dragging these people down. For some reason, it matters to them that we win, and it's so obvious that I'm the reason why we're not going faster.
Oh my God. And you said this is deep as hell.
I guess it is in terms of the underdog dialogue in my head. Yeah. Because I'm trying to push myself, but sometimes your body will not do what your mind wants it to. Right. At the rate that you want it to go. Yes. So I am telling myself that I can do it. And I'm telling myself, I've never run this long or this fast in my life for a goal. I've never done anything where I have to run for that long. Yeah. I avoid it. Yeah. And so, and there are several, like that guy, that little cross-country Asian guy, at some point, he's like jogging next to me, trying to pump me up, which sometimes is at points it was annoying. Yeah. And patronizing, and at other points it was kind of cute. Like he's trying to like help me out. He's not being an asshole. Right. All of these things are going on in my head, and I'm just trying to get to the next stage. And at every stage, they have to wait for me to get there, to take the picture. They could have taken off without me. So I am always lagging. I get there, I have 2 seconds to catch my breath before we're on to the next clue, doing whatever we want. And like I said, other teams go to In-N-Out. I would have been better suited for that team. And so we're going and we finally get to the end, and I forget where it ends. It either ends at Joe Bruin or it ends back at our dorms.
jeez.
But we end up winning.
Oh
we win
God.
the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't announce it till the next day.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't find out until the next day? Or did
no.
You? Oh, jeez.
We didn't find out. Well, we got second place that night, like, in terms of a foot race.
Mm-hmm.
But they had to check all of the clues and all of the pictures. Mm-hmm. And then they were going to announce it at the next, like, orientation thing in Ackerman.
Mm-hmm.
So they announced our team. And we had to, like, go up and get our sweatshirts and stuff, like, our prizes.
Yeah.
And that moment was so invigorating. Like, I did this thing that I was not made for. Mm-hmm. And we won.
Yeah.
And it was so incredible. It was one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life. And I remember that week, another thing that we did was, like, write to, men who were deployed in the army. Mm-hmm. And they said to just write about anything, write about how orientation's been going or whatever. And I remember I wrote like pages and pages of this experience, telling this guy, like, if you ever feel like you can't keep going or things aren't looking up and there's like no hope or whatever, I obviously have never felt anything like you're feeling, but the feeling afterwards is so much. It's worth it. Like, I forget exactly how I said it.
You're gonna make me cry.
So I'm, like, sending this lovely, heartfelt letter to this guy, and it was just such a perfect little period point, you know, on the story.
Yeah.
And that experience is just so vivid because it was the truest, like, competition type of thing that I've ever done in terms of physicality, because normally you don't put yourself in these situations that you know you're probably not going to win at.
Right, yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be that physical. I probably wouldn't have done it if I knew we would be running all over a campus, like, that way for that long without breaks. It was my team that made it without breaks, right? But
That's so
it was
cool.
my underdog moment.
Oh my God. I love that story.
Carpe Noctem.
Carpe the fucking diem. Yeah.
And I love how you don't even remember yours. But for me, it's like, I can see myself as I'm running.
Yeah.
Psh, psh, psh.
That's so cool. I love, like, I want to see, like, a picture of the both of us at those moments. Like, me in the 10 minutes before my professors get into the room. And, like, I'm just like, oh my God. You know, like, my last moments before I'm doing this test, and you fucking, like, when will this end? Like, the hardest run that you do, like, oh my God.
Yeah, and you kind of get a taste of what challengers might go through, because it not only teaches you what you're capable of, but also who you are in moments of stress.
Yeah.
Like, I could have gone off on them, or I could have left. And said, fuck you guys, like, this is crazy. I could have made them stop more than... Because I didn't ever say, like, I'm going to stand here for a few minutes. You're going to let me catch my breath. I let them lead, and I just tried to get there.
Yeah.
And so, people, like, in challenges, sometimes they go off on other people. And sometimes you learn how to work with different people and how they communicate and how they get to the finish line, even though it's different than how you get to the finish line.
Right.
And so it's so cool to learn how you are in those temper situations. There were times where I wanted to yell at that cross-country guy who was annoying the fuck out of me. And and I didn't. And I was like, he just wants to win. He could have yelled at me several times. I mean, that would have been a lot, like, for the situation. We're at orientation, dude. Fuck off. But, like, we all got through it. It was all okay.
That's so cool. And also that, like, I mean, what you said about, like, learning who you are in times of stress. Like, yeah, like, for me, preparing for that exam, it was, like, I was studying for, like, 5 or 6 weeks where that was my only job was I need to pass this test. And, like...
Yeah.
There were so many days, especially at the beginning, where I was just doing fucking nothing. I wasn't studying at all, and I was just plagued with anxiety about, like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
And, like, I can't get this together, and oh my God, like, I have no, like, deadlines. I'm, like, not responsible. Like, I'm eating so much, like, all this stuff. And, like, the point of that period, like, you know, taking that test, I guess, technically got me my master's, but I still, yeah, like, I think the thing that I'm more proud of about doing that was that I learned more about myself and how to make myself work and how to do the things I don't want to do, especially when my mental health is in the pits and it's just me here. Like, I learned so much about myself in trying to make myself study for that test. And, like, the fact that I learned about myself and the test had a good outcome, that's, like, to me, that's the bonus, because like, I've never worked with myself and tried to be so, I mean, it was all for the purpose of passing the test. Like, it wasn't motivated by, like, wanting to know myself better, but that I needed to, absolutely, to be able to do this, and that, like, I found a place of acceptance in order to function. I know that's basic for a lot of people, but it's not for me. So that was my win.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, with the scavenger hunt, do I care that I got a sweatshirt? No.
Yeah.
Like, if I hadn't won, I would have been just as happy because I completed it. It's all about the journey. Are they right when they print this on t-shirts? Oh my god.
Maybe that should be on our merch when we open our very successful merch shop.
The journey. Merch is coming at you soon, guys.
Yeah, real soon. Yeah, keep an eye out. We've got so many cute designs.
Whenever we post this in 2028.
Yeah. Well, I loved talking to you tonight.
Yeah, I love talking to you always.
You're so cute. Okay, well, this has been episode 3 for J-Joel. I was Liz, and that was Gabby.
This was Challengers for J-Joel.
Yep, Challengers for J-Joel. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Turn off. Ready? 3, 2, 1.